Just put that on again. All right, just again. All right, 30, 40, 40, 30, 40, 30. All right, should be. All right, so let's go on. Okay, so if these are all things that buyers can do, are they associated with scams or just minor complaints? In other words, we would expect that all of these would be negatively associated with the scam and more positive associated with minor complaints. All right, so let's have a look at the data, shall we? All right, there's the questions I asked. And remember, we're talking about fraud, and these are the hypotheses that I had. The negative association between screening, audit, resolution mechanisms. So screening is what you did for your RFQ. Is the supplier legit? Verify business references. Post-audit mechanisms, buy a visit, buy a quality check, third-party quality check, FOB. Resolution mechanisms, contracts, contingency payments. Okay. So in some ways, this is your first circle. Contracts, this is your second circle. Audits, third circle we do next week. All right, so let's have a look at the data. All right, generally, this was the first phase of collection between 2014 and 2017. We've since got data up until 2020, but there was a lot of scams, problems encountered, and most of them were electronic, followed by industrial. And this is what I was telling you. Remember I told you, if after end of this, you say, Neil, I still want to source and go on Amazon. And I'm thinking, I thought I told you, don't do this. All right. Okay. If you still want to do it, then make sure don't have any electronics, maybe don't have any moving parts, and maybe just do sports and outdoors, office or clothing. Why? You're less likely to be scammed. Or just make a spoon or make a knife. All right. It's simple, but don't make a ceramic knife. Okay. All right. So that's all right. But electronics, you can be scammed so easy in electronics. Remember the power bank? When I say power bank, what do you say? Sand. All right. Power bank, sand. All right. More about that next week. All right. Now, the top provinces in China where the complaints were, and the countries of buyers. Now, some of those buyers that were scammed were also Chinese, some from Malaysia. There are other countries that were scammed. There were also supplier scammers in other countries, including all of Southeast Asia, Malaysia, India, Pakistan. All right, stage of the relationship. Initial order, 70% when the scam took place. All right, so always be careful on your initial order. All right, experience. A lot of it happened in your first year. Okay, but some of them, more than 10 years, still get scammed. Remember the example that Charles talked about, lost 200,000, then they lost 200,000 on another go. Like, how could you do that? It's crazy. Formal contract. All right. 3/4 of them had a contract and they still got scammed. Visit the production site. No, most of them did not visit. Okay. All right. So you should visit. Verified the license. No. And independent quality control, which is next week. No, they didn't get audited. You can imagine, wow, suppliers' nationality. Well, of course, most of them China, but also there were scammers or problematic suppliers in all of these other countries. So we're not just picking on China here. Now results. Let's just have a look at the results. All right. So we're trying to predict fraud. That is where money was lost and you cannot contact the supplier again. You may have got your container, but you still lost money and you cannot contact the supplier. So that is an outright scam, fraud. All right. All right. If they had a verified business, it was less likely that they were fraud. It was just a minor scam. If the buyer did the visit, it was less likely. If they had FOB Incoterms versus EXW, it was less likely. If they had contracts, it was less likely. Remember what I told you? I can't tell you why you should have a contract, but this data says why you should have a contract. Are you hearing me? Remember I told you earlier, all right, I cannot say why you should have a contract, because have a contract, but don't expect to go to court, because you're just going to waste more money trying to get your money back. But still, you still got to have a contract, all right? But this is why you're less likely to avoid, you're less likely to be scammed. All right, if you had a contract, then it's likely that if you had a verified business, a third-party reference, that is screening what you did in RFQ, and a buyer visit, it's less likely you'll be scammed. And if you had no contract, well, at least have a third-party QC. That became useful. What you do next week is, if you don't have a contract, at least get a third-party QC. That's what you need to learn from that data. All right. What about initial order and repeat order? If it's your initial order, how can you avoid being scanned? Verify that the business. Remember what Megla told you tonight, right? Remember what you can look up, whether the buyer has a GST and there's some other thing that the buyer has. You can look it up, Google it, and then check that the buyer is a supplier, is a real supplier. Ah, wow. All right. Buyer visit or FOB Incoterms. But if you have a repeat order, then all of these were useful in reducing being scammed. Ah, wow. What about if you're from OECD? Obviously, the effectiveness of these mechanisms were greater. If you're non-OECD, that means you come from, if you're a buyer from a developing world, then what you can be effective with is if you did your own buyer visit or had a verified business. But the use of contract didn't seem to be as effective than is if you're an OECD buyer. Obviously, you come from the developed world, you know how better to put that contract in place. And so for most part, it is a useful protector of you from scams. So that's what we learned from the blacklist. That is, you can be scammed, but there are various mechanisms to stop you from being scammed. What are they? Number one, you have verified business. Number two, you have a buyer visit. Number three, you third-party visit. You have a contract. These are all useful mechanisms based on this data. It doesn't mean you're not going to get bad quality, you know, a small portion bad quality. It doesn't mean you're going to have a delayed delivery. It doesn't mean that you're going to have a little problem or a hiccup. That is not a scam. That is normal in global sourcing. Are you hearing me? That is normal in global sourcing. What we're talking about now is about protecting you from losing your money. Like that 200,000, like from being scammed. By you give the money and suddenly you cannot contact the supplier again. And that's real data. And you can go to that Blacklist website tonight and look at some of the horrible stories of buyers that have been scammed. Now, admittedly, sometimes, you know, how do you know if all of these stories are real or not? For the most part, you know, the stories are quite detailed. And for buyers to take the time to, you know, shame their suppliers, it's, you know, it takes time. And most of them, we read them, there's a lot of detail behind these stories, even though we just showed you the data tonight. Okay, let's have a break for 5 minutes. We come back, we've got the Kahoot time, which will summarize part of India and also part of the blacklist and how to avoid being scammed. See you in 5 minutes. Thank you. How are you, Skylar?
I think Skylar went to the bathroom, doctor.
Oh,
Hi.
no, he's in
He's
front
back.
of the video. I see.
Oh, I didn't see, my bad.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Darren. How are you?
I am fine physically, but I'm having some issues over here with my monitor. Hold on, I'll show you. Can you see this? I'm not sure if you can see this. Can you see me on my camera?
I can see you.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay. So like, this is my monitor, and like the issue that I'm facing since like 9:30 is that like this happens, like it goes, it blacks out.
All right, the monitor's not working. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, have you got a smartphone?
Yeah. I am
Darren,
gonna use the smartphone for.
And usually a Kahoot app on the smartphone works just as well. So you'll be fine.
All right.
Don't worry, Darren.
Just you know.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I'd give you one of my monitors, but it might take a while to get to you. That's all.
No, I have a spare monitor. I just it's gonna take some time to set up, and then I was more focused on the class because I didn't want to lose out on Kahoot. But I think I might be a bit off.
Has everyone got the attendance code? I put that in the chat room.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's good. All right, I've got the attendance code. We're going to start the Kahoot shortly. Actually, why not? I'll just get the Kahoot so everyone can start to get in there. Let's play this thing. There you go. Can you all see the Kahoot? Can you all see the Kahoot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Usually the ones, Adrian, I think Adrian's going to go do well tonight.
I don't think so, doctor. I am so.
Just bring get your Deadpool friend to help you. You'll be fine.
I need him mentally right now.
I tell you what, your background video was a great icebreaker for our guests. He loved it.
Do you want that for yourself, doctor?
Yeah,
send it to you.
Send it through to me after the class tonight. I'll show my colleagues.
Sure, I'll send you 2 videos then.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just love it. Let's love it. Yeah. Remember, there's 16 questions. Bit of theory tonight. Remember, it's all about the make or buy, and some of you may have been confused later on where say, oh, you can make or buy in China, but when you try and make in China, just remind you, you got political, xenophobic, environmental risks. But if you try and buy, let's not just pick on China in sourcing from the developing world, okay? And then you buy from the developing world, well, then you got supplier opportunism. That is, you cannot trust the supplier anyway, but you still got to deal with them, all right? Because you either make or buy. It's either the political, xenophobic, environmental risk, or you got the control costs or the coordination costs. It's either one or the other. You don't have a choice, right? That's the big theory for tonight. And just want to ram that down. Make sure you get that with you. Sorry, excuse me. I'll just mute the microphone so I'm clear my throat.
Doctor, I think you're muted.
Thank you. Kate, thank you for that. You saw the sand in the power bank. You heard someone lose 200,000 plus some more. You saw some evidence of what do we mean by political environmental risk. Okay. All right. Anything can happen when you are trying to buy from another country. Okay. All right. So are you ready, Ski Daddies, for our Kahoot session? Okay, let's fasten it up. Remember, your first 4 questions are about India. So get your India socks ready and let's Kahoot. Let's go. Projecting governance, that's the theme. But remember, starting with India just to warm you up. The first 4 questions. Are you ready? Let's go here. Multi-select. Which of the following is a reason to source from India? Multi-select. Multi. Oh, you're a bit slow tonight. What is going on? Were you listening to Megla? You got it. Well done. This is so cool. So cool. Obviously, there's one that wasn't yet. Low MOQs, no trade tariffs. Really, really good. Okay, Gabriella on top very early. Oliver made in Imran, Chizin, Maz do very well. Great. Let's move on. Number 2, another one on India. Multi-select. Which of the following is a con of sourcing from India? In other words, it's not a benefit of sourcing from India. Not a benefit. Okay. Why you shouldn't source from India. Remember, multi-select here. Yeah, limited product range, longer lead times, okay? Remember what Megla was saying, that it takes longer. You just cannot expect it to be as efficient as China or other countries. Low labor costs, of course, as India, and ease of communication. Why? Because British colony, English communication, as well as Indian English law system, if you know what I mean. Okay, Commonwealth law system, right? Imran on top, Oliver, Shijin, Gabriella, Michelle, well done, Gabriella. Sorry, I didn't get your question in earlier this evening, but you're doing well in the quiz. India is the largest producer of, come on, everyone's got to get this one. Come on, you know this one. Come on, largest producer of, come on, can we get everyone? Megan will be so happy. Good. Oh, come on, it's cotton. It's not rayon, it's cotton, all right? Remember, 6,000 tons of cotton it produces a year. Just about the same. It's the same. And was it 28% of cotton in the world, right? Remember the percentage that Megla gave you, 26%, all right? 26, you can see, I've written it down, 26%. Okay. Take your notes. It's 26, largest cotton. All right, and who's up top? Gabriella. Oh, big move up. Adrian paying attention, and Kosh back on. Adrian's there too. Well done. Multi-select again. What should you check to verify a supplier in India? The last of the 4. What should you check? Multi-select. Come on, everyone should get this one. Remember, Megla spent time to explain this. You can check this using Google. Come on, everyone, get this right. You should be able to get these 2 right. Yeah, come on. It's GST number, ICE code. Remember, Megla made it very, very clear. Every legitimate supplier has a GST number. Every legitimate supplier that can source, the manufacturer has an ICE code. Every business has a GST number. Every manufacturer must have an ICE code. So you can check that. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Now back onto scams. Yinghui, Vicky, Yinghui. Oh, big move up. Very good. Remember, the faster you do this, the more points you get. Seller name in the contract does not have to match the receiver of the payment. True or false? The seller name does not have to match the receiver of the payment. We're talking about the supplier side here. You all know that this is someone still deciding. It's a no-brainer. This is false. All right. Remember, the name on the factory, the name on the contract, the name on the bank account, all have to be the same. Wow. Okay, let's move on here. Scoreboard. Vicky, you're on fire. Very good. Imran, Gabriella, Shijin, Yinghui's on top. Well done. 6 of 16. Let's go faster. Which of these can go wrong when sourcing? Which of these can go wrong when sourcing? Which of these can go wrong? Now, remember, if it's more than one, obviously it's going to be all of the above, but you've got to be fast to get the points. Yes, you know it's all of the above, but you've got to be fast to get the points. So who was fast to get the points this time? Imran, Chizin, and Adrian's making a move now. Yinghui is the highest anti streak of 6 in a row. Well done, Yinghui on top. Yay. What scenarios have high risk of encountering a scam? What scenarios have a high risk of encountering a scam? It's definitely not sporting equipment. It's definitely not household. Remember kitchenware. Remember that? I told you, you want to go safe, stick to those products. You want to take a risk, you go for all of the above. You go for famous Western brands like iPhones, you're going to be scammed because you cannot buy iPhones direct from the factory in China. You do not go online wholesale platforms. Alibaba, you are likely to be scammed. You've got to go beyond that, get more information. Orders involving small, high-value electronics products. That's how they make more money, like power banks also. Okay. Yingwei still on top. Adrian's making a move. Chizing, Imran, Vicky, Adrian making a move. You got that Deadpool spirit in you. You're making a move here. Which action is categorized as the classic scam? Remember 3 types of scams. I talked about 3 types of scams. This is the classic one. This is the classic one. The classic one. The most classic, the easiest. Get your deposit and ship you nothing. Remember the next one. All right, let's see. Yinghui still on top. Chizun, Adrian, Imran, Vicky making a move, doing very well. 9 out of 16. Which action categorized as it's on its way scam? This is another one. It's on its way scam. Which one is that one? Come on, you know. There's obviously something shipped, so it's not going to be your red response. Okay, that's the classic one, pay and deposit. All right, on its way is one of the other 3. So which one? It's getting a box of defective products, getting a box of rocks. It's on its way. Why? Because they want to get you 30% deposit plus your 40% at the time of shipping. Why not get it while it's on its way and ship you a box of defective products that costs nothing? Why not put box of rocks in a container? Costs even less. Wow. Do they do that? Yes, they do. Vicky's making a comeback. Imran's doing very well. Adrian, you have dropped down. Which action is categorized as milk the cow? It's one of the others. I want to milk the cow because would you like headphones? Would you like accessories to go with your bank? Would you like customized branding on the product? That's what we mean by milking the cow. Asking for more payment due to various excuses. You did very well. Everyone did well. Chizin, Imran did very, very well. Wow, that is so cool. All right, we've got 11 to 16. You must do your research and not only focus on price to avoid scams. Oh, this is an easy one. This is an easy one. You should know this one. Come on, everyone, very, very quickly. But how fast you answer this one. Yes, everyone got it right. Yes, this is so cool. I must put the surfboard on my head. You know, this is a surfboard you cannot see, but it is a real surfboard. All right, surfboard on my head because everyone got it right. This is so cool. Let's go surfing. Let's go surfing. Vicky, you are very quick on that one. All right, that's a easy one for everyone to get right. That means Neil is teaching you something. 12 hours 16 multi-select. Why do we source globally from emerging economies? Why do we do that? Why do we do it? Okay, it could be multi-select. Okay, why do we do it? Remember, we're sourcing, we're not making in a global economy. All right, we're sourcing in pursuit of competitive advantage and to have a low cost supplier. Okay, avoid xenophobic risk. Well, sourcing globally from emerging economies versus sourcing globally from other developed economies. Okay. All right, if the question was, what do we source from an emerging economy versus making an emerging economy? Yes, we do it to avoid xenophobic risks, okay? But the question is, what do we source globally from emerging economies in general versus from developing economies? So trick question, all right? Gray area, you could argue for to avoid xenophobic risk, but that's why you wouldn't make in an emerging economy. It's not why you wouldn't make in your hometown. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, Vicky, Yinhui, Mass made a move up very, very well. Okay, 13 out of 16. What is the global sourcing cost trade-off? What is it? What is the trade-off? This was the big idea, the big theoretical idea tonight, the make versus buy. We're trading off two big costs, because when we go to China, when we go to India, when we go to Vietnam, do we make or source in these countries? If we make, we have political, environmental, and xenophobic risks. But if we source, we have control and coordination costs. We are damned if we make, we are damned if we source. It costs us to make in another country. It costs us to source in another country. And we're trying to balance those two things. And Apple balances these by sourcing, but it still wants to have control. How does it get control? It puts machines in. Neil, don't say too much. This is being recorded. Okay, let's keep moving here. All right, you know this scoreboard. Mass has made a great move up and Shizing has done well. 14 out of 16. Multi-select. Okay, based on the supplier blacklist study, which two are in-house audit mechanisms? In-house versus outsourcing audit mechanisms. This is an easy one, all right? All right, in-house means you're doing it yourself. You are doing the audit yourself. Which one is it? Come on, you know this one. Come on, it's gonna be quick here. Of course, buyer visit, buyer QC, that's in-house. Next week, we're going to learn more about how we get the third-party audit, the third-party QC, all right? You get third-party do it, or you do it in-house. That means you do it yourself. Wow. Neil, that's not fair. You teach us about auditing, but we're not doing it till next week. Well, Neil, I'm trying to stretch you, okay? Think about next week. It's all about auditing. When do we get a third party? If we hire a third party, how can we do it smoothly? Chizing is still on top. Kosh has made a big move up. How can suppliers deceive a buyer with a power bank product? Oh, you should know this one. You should know this one. This is so clear. All right, come on. How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you deceive a buyer with a power bank product? Okay, you replace the original battery with a smaller one plus sand. Have a different name on your bank account, but that's not really specific to the product. All right, come on, this, all of the above. Yeah, it's not as striking as this one. This was the big takeaway, replace the original battery. Okay, some of you can put your appeals in later after this session. All right. Oliver, Kosh, you went down. Oliver, you must have put the right answer in. Gosh, sorry about that. All right. So which type of product is most purchased by buyers in the supplier blacklist? Most purchased by buyers. All right. Not the least. We're not talking about, sorry, I'm not going to give you hints. You should know this. Everyone should get this one right, because we say if you're first time, do not source this type of product. That is, do not source electronic products. 25 except one. What's going on? Who chose industrial? It is electronic products. I was trying for a good streak here. Everyone getting it right. Podium. Here's the podium. Well done. Ying Hui, well done. Where are you, Ying Hui? Where's your video? Ying Hui,
yes.
hands
Hi.
up. Wave to everyone. Wave.
Okay.
Thank you. And Oliver, well done. You're back on the board again. Well done, Oliver. And Chizing, very, very well. And Darren, how'd you go? Did you survive on your smartphone, Darren?
No, I didn't.
Don't worry.
I'm sorry, sir.
We'll get you for next time. Don't worry. All right. And so the most difficult question was, what should you check to verify a supplier in India? Most of you got it wrong. Oh, I'm so disappointed after the great guest talk that Megla gave us. All right. But that's very interesting. Everything else was much more simple, right? Because 63% of you got things correct out of the 16 questions. That means I did a good job in setting up the questions for tonight. So let's have a look at the full report. So we can have a look at if you got in the top 15. All right. And then I know it's over time again. Apologies. Let's have a look. Well played. And your report. And Oliver, Yinghui, Kosh, Mash, Imran, Lisa, Adrian, Gabriella, Vicky, very, very well done. And correct answers. Notice, Lisa, you did very, very well in the correct answers. Kosh, you did very, very well, but Chizing, you were faster on some of them. That's the difference. So very, very well. Like if you get more than 65% of the answers, and I think that is very, very well played. And who else have we got? We have Audrey, Kritin, Sabah, Michelle, Maria, Oshia, just missing out. And Wangxi, Kate. Kate, want to see you on the board next week. Lizzie, Nisrat. Very, very well done. Or you know the deal. You've got the attendance code. Your feedback for night is very, very important. It's very important that you ask questions. Can you please, like, I know once you get your feedback, you don't have to say things that make me look good, but if you can put your questions in the feedback, it's very, very important that at least you participate, answer one or two of those questions that I've set up for you each week. It's very important that you have that feedback. So just any questions for tonight?
No, I think tonight is very interesting, sir. Learning about India, especially. Yeah.
Appreciate. Please put that in the responses in your student feedback, and you've got the link in the week 5 feedback. If you can answer just 2 of those 4 questions, if anything stuck out, just write that in, what worked, what doesn't, so we can make things better every week. Because I'm like a supplier. Every week I get a chance to try and impress you, to make, I want to give the best experience that you have in your learning ever. All right. That's my goal every week. All right. I don't want to say, oh, I did a good job in week 3, so I'm going to relax in week 4 and week 5. No, I want to do the best I can. And then next week, I want to do even better next week. All right. I want to bring as much energy as possible that you just, I know what it's like to be a student online, and that, you know, you're stuck at home, you're a computer, you're on your own, like even what Darren's explained to tonight. you know, things don't always go well in terms of the technology. I understand it. I get that. So I just want to try and bring my better than my best for you, because I want your learning experience to be better than a 5. I think the SETU is out of 5, but I want it to be a 6 or 7 and better than ever. All right. So if you input feedback in, the student feedback, I really appreciate that for tonight. You know where that is in the attendance form. Appreciate that if you can do that. Any questions? Vicky.
Dr. Liu, how
Yeah.
to interpret the
Yes, Yinghui.
how to interpret your research result for the regression result? Is it like the more negative for the value, then it's more significant?
Yeah, the way I've set up, and I may have gone over it very quickly, but it's a very, very good question. And that is basically, in way you're asking about what does the dependent variable mean? What I did was, and without spending too much time, but I can go quickly back to the PowerPoint of the scam just to show you one slide. Here it is. And I'm just going to share my screen, and it's I'm sharing number 1. And I'll just show you. Basically, what we did was we classified, these are all the problems that they had. And so if they had a problem like contract violation, maybe missed lead time, lack of labor, price negotiation, compromise, but maybe most of these we accept the contract violation. Sometimes violation they deliver, but they're just one little thing. If it was small, we gave it a 0. But if it was a scam, that is, it was a problem, but they couldn't contact the supplier, they lost their money, and the supplier cannot be contacted, then we gave it a 1. And so basically the regressions are predicting, basically it's just a logistical regression predicting whether if the buyer did any of these, then is that negatively associated to the complaint. So if it's negative, then it's more likely that the complaint was just a small problem. Some of the products were bad quality, missed delivery, maybe a customs problem, maybe a little contract violation, but the supplier was there, they were able to be contacted, the buyer didn't lose all their money and things like that. And then if it was 1, then that was when they lost their money and the supplier can't be contacted. All right, so these are all complaints, but it's better, we're trying to predict that the complaint was a scam, and if they did all this, these are all negative, meaning that if these were in place by the buyer, then significantly less likely that the complaint was a real scam. And just a normal course of doing business with a supplier in a developing country. And this could have been Vietnam, could have been Pakistan, India. It didn't just have to be China. Very good question. Any other questions? And appreciate your feedback in the slides. That is questions you have on your mind, any part that enhance your thinking, maybe Megala's talk, and anything that we can continue doing the same of, or things that work, things that didn't work.
Yeah, Dr. Neil?
Yes.
Yeah. Did they take any litigation or arbitration?
Gabriella, your question is about?
Yeah, regarding those complaints, did they like file any litigation or arbitration for the complaint?
Not really. No, that wasn't a general course of action that the buyers took.
So usually they just blacklist the suppliers and not taking any legal action.
Well, they follow up and then they, okay. most over 70% of these complaints are scams, like they're really, really bad. So it's kind of like it's not 50-50. A lot of these scams. So it's no use in following up because the supplier cannot be contacted. Gone. Cannot be followed up, cannot be contacted. Just scammed. Just lost the money. Right?
Yeah.
That's why I said tonight, if you don't do the due diligence, if you don't do all those things, all right, if you don't verify, if you don't visit, if you don't have this, the contract alone will not save you. Okay.
All right. Yeah, regarding a jurisdiction, just now you mentioned it should be should we follow the supplier one?
Of course. Oh yeah. No, you have to do that. I'll repeat again. All right. The contract will not save you, but you must have a contract. It's so funny. It won't save you, but you must have a contract. It will save you from being scammed, but it won't save you from having a bad order, a bad delivery, a missed delivery, IP violation. It won't save you from these little things that happen. All right. But you still must have a contract. All right. It's just something that you've got to have with a package of other good things that you do. Like the first circle, you must ask all questions, verify. As Megla said, you must verify who the supplier is. Do they have a GST code? Do they have this other code that says that they're in factory? But you're right. If you have a contract, you must make sure the jurisdiction is in where the supplier is located. And there's a story in one of the videos. Remember, many of you joined the Udemy. You joined the Udemy course. I gave you the code. Most of you are for free. If you're not, just email me. I'll give you another code. But in that, there's more videos. Remember, you don't have to watch all those videos for this course, but there's more videos of Mike Bellamy telling stories about how one buyer had a contract set up. The jurisdiction was USA. The buyer scammed, the supplier scammed him, lost him a lot of money, and he took him to court in the USA. But then the judge said, well, sorry, but my judgment doesn't have jurisdiction in China where the supplier is located because your contract was written and had the jurisdiction in the USA. So the buyer was so angry and lost so much money that he did not let go of that supplier, and he paid private investigators to track that supplier for 2 years in China to find out when that supplier was going to be visiting a trade show in the USA. And so the private investigator found that the supplier was going to this trade show this 1 month in Las Vegas, I think. And when they found out that, the buyer contacted I think was the FBI, because it was a federal crime to do, it was kind of like mail fraud or something like that under that. So it became a federal crime. They got the FBI involved and they apprehended the supplier at the trade show physically. And then, but the buyer didn't get his money back. All right. So what's the whole point, right? All right. All right. So you can do all you can and, do the legal procedures. Yes, you can win in court, but it doesn't mean you're going to get your money back.
Yeah.
So you protect yourself by doing black box manufacturing. You go to Passage Maker, you get your product made in a secret factory and not by one supplier. You get the supplier, one supplier to send you the pen tip, the other one to supply the pen bottom, and then the factory puts it together, and supplier 1, supplier 2 do not know what the final product is. That's how you protect yourself if IP is a problem. All right, many different ways of protecting yourself. Yeah. Any other
Thank you
questions?
for that.
Very good question, Gabrielle. Thank you so much for all your questions you asked tonight. And I'll share with you. And I just want to be upfront with you and give you feedback on your participation up until the end of week 4. Put your hand up if you want to see that. I hope I've got it. Assessment.
It has been emailed, right?
Did I send it through, Ginny? No, probably not.
I think Ginny sent
Yeah,
it.
she did. She sent it this morning.
Oh, that's good. Oh, Ginny's so good. If you have any questions on that, just want to give you feedback, make sure that you know how you go, and full transparency on your participation during the unit. So, all right, final word, and one word and a plead. All right, the first word is there are 2 groups presenting next week. Right? So if those 2 groups, if you have any questions, any concerns over the next 48 hours, can you contact me, please? All right. So I don't want you having a last minute problem with the video or trying to get PowerPoint or technical problems, trying to access the video, anything like that. I don't want that happening on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. You with me here? All right. So which groups are presenting next week for the first time? Anyone? Where's your group leaders? Hello? Yeah, Gabrielle. And then who other group leader? There's 2 groups next week. Yes or no? And Kritin, your group. Great. Okay. So contact me tomorrow, Friday. Okay. After that, I can't help you with technology problems, but I just plan ahead. If you do it at last minute, you will struggle in doing a good job next week. But get the technical side sorted out before the weekend. Then you can focus on doing a good job on the weekend and putting your stuff together. And then, because I want you to enjoy your presentation next Wednesday and not feel as though it's a last minute rush to get your assessment done. You with me here? Hello? Okay, that's my advice. All right. So if you want to see me as a group tomorrow afternoon, Friday afternoon, contact me. Next, I want to plead to the other groups. There's 2 groups that have contacted me about their major projects. That means 3 groups have not contacted me. So please contact me to set aside a time in the next week. If not, next 48 hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like I'm always busy, but reach out and contact me and let's get a time set in stone so you can at least have our initial meeting. Can we do that? Good idea. What do you think? Over time again. Ginny, I need to go. I need to be more focused. Okay. Big takeaway tonight. Make versus buy. All right. No one wants to make, but if you buy, there's all sorts of problems, isn't there? And that's what you learned tonight. You can be scammed. And if you buy a power bank, it's going to be sand. All right. Sorry. All right. Serious. It really happens. Next week. Next week is just awesome because we're going to talk about auditing. And I've been analyzing my friend Ranel database of 12,500 audits, but I've matched 500 factory audits with 500 product audits. So we've got real data to show you next week. In addition to next week, I'm going to get all of you to actually look at audits, product audits yourself, and tell me whether a product audit passes or fails. Wow. These are real things you are taking away. I want you to learn skills, not just head knowledge. Okay. So if you ever go and work in a sourcing team, a supply office, you can say, I know how to get a request for quotation. I know how to contact a third-party auditor. I know questions to ask if I want to get a contract set together. I want you to, these are things I want you to tangible takeaways from this unit. Okay. Love you all. Wish you have a good night. Have a good week. Email me if you've got any questions. Happy to help anytime. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doctor. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Don't
Dr.
forget,
Neil.
don't
Good
forget your
afternoon.
feedback.
Good night.
Feedback in
Thanks,
the
Doctor.
Google. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Hello, doctor, are you there?
Always here, Darren.
Oh, okay. Update. I fixed it. Haha.